Hi, I'm Stu. Welcome back to another LumaFusion video tutorial. About 6 months ago, I did a tutorial showing you how to recreate the OG Superman title sequence. And I've got a bit of a thing for titles. And with that in mind, I was watching the movie Nobody 2 with Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad fame, and I noticed this sort of title sequence, which was at the beginning of the movie. What interested me about this was if we go into the still and use our zoom tool, is the texture, the speckled paint texture that's been applied to the type. So I think we should give it a go and recreate this in LumaFusion. Let's get started. Okay, so I've set up a new project and we're working to the aspect ratio 239:1 widescreen cinema standard. I've generated a little sequence similar to the movie of some Stanley style cups being poured by our actor. And what I'm going to do is just press 1 on the keyboard for frame and fit and make sure that my scene, I'll bring it a wee bit tighter, fits in to the actual canvas of the widescreen. I don't actually need much in the way of audio, so I'm just going to reduce that right down to about -18. Okay, so now we've got our background footage bureau. Let's just grade this up. So I've kind of got into the habit lately of popping an adjustment clip on top and just doing the grade on there. It gives me the flexibility of deciding whether I want to keep it or get rid of it, that kind of thing, or chop it up. So I'm going to press 5 on the keyboard. I'm going to go to presets. I'm actually going to use the Coolit as a sort of starting point. Then just going to drop the contrast and just darken it off a little bit. Add a little bit of green, a bit more blue. Or do we want to go yellow? Maybe somewhere in about there. And that should do that. I may add a vignette at the end, but not right now. So that works. Okay, how do we get this speckled effect onto text? So what I'm going to do is come in about, for 2 seconds. We're going to drop an overlay title, drag it out for about 4 seconds, roughly. Yeah, that should do. Press 3 on the keyboard, and the first thing you're going to create is a shape, and just drag it out if it lets me. There we go. Just make sure it covers the whole of the preview window, the canvas. Change the face color to black, and then what we want to do from there is we're going to type Friday, tap done. Face color's white. Why can't we see it? Because of the arrangement. Remember, in the titling, the lower layer is the one that's actually higher up in this sort of hierarchy. I'm going to change the font to possibly Futura extra bold and condensed. Yeah, that works. Increase the size. Just increase the bounding box so that I can bring up the size even more. Get it filling that screen. So there's what we need. So we've got our footage. We then got our text. Now, we don't actually need the footage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just switch its visibility off. Now that we've got the background on the main timeline switched off and we've got our video layer with Friday, we want to bring down in the speckled layer. So I'm just going to drag and drop it in front of the Friday, just above it. Stretch it out so it matches the full length. Okay, so we've highlighted the clip. Going to press 1 on the keyboard. Going to go down to blending and we're going to change from normal to the third one down, multiply. Now remember, top and bottom is actually outside the canvas, so it's just the speckling effect over the Friday text that we can see here. Now what you've got to do is export the existing clip as it stands, and that's why we've got the background switched off. You could leave it in, but I just want it to be all black. So we're going to go to movies, photos, and because this is just a tutorial, I'm just going to leave the resolution at 720p, just purely for the example. Now we've got clip exported, and you can see it here. Even kept the audio. We can get rid of our 2 layers here, the speckled blue paint effect and the titling. So I'm just going to highlight the multi-select tool, drag and drop, press the backspace, and that's that done. Switch multi-select off. We can turn on our background layer again. We can then move our composite layer and actually have it blend in. So I'll go 1 on the keyboard. We can close down position, size, and rotation, go to blending, and change the blending mode to screen. You'll now see we've got the text and the speckled effect going over the top without the extra speckles around the edges. Now what you want to do is just reduce the opacity, and I think I'm going to take this down to around about 65%. Go into color and effects, and we want to tap on our original color preset, go down to our tint, and choose quite a strong orangey yellow, probably somewhere in about there. I'm also going to increase the yellow here as well and bump up the vibrance. I'm then going to go back into the tint and just darken down orange a little bit more, about there. And we're going to go over to frame and fit. I'm going to adjust the y-axis of the size, and that's just to stretch out the text a little bit. And then I'll go back into blending, and I'm just going to lower the opacity to 55%, and that's us pretty much done. And if I also go into my photos, I can just bring in text. Now I've gone a little bit wider, and that's more kind of condensed. So we could, if we wanted to, reduce the overall size, but I quite like it chunky. It's not a carbon copy. I also quite like the slight heavier speckling effect. So there's the movie, there's mine. If you've enjoyed this video today, don't forget to like, comment, share, and I will catch you on the next one. See you later.